Assalamu alaikum. Greetings and welcome to the Munir Muhammad Show. Brothers and sisters, I'm your host, Jamil Muhammad, and we are streaming live. And if you'd like to participate in this evening's conversation, you can give us a call at 773-434-6625. We have a very informative show for you today, brothers and sisters. But before I introduce our first guest, I'd like to remind you to please follow us on our social media platforms, which include Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And please go to our YouTube page, click the like and the subscribe buttons so you can be notified whenever we post a show. Brothers and sisters, I'm very excited about our guest today. Joining me in this first segment, we have a brother who is running for, he's a candidate for judge in the 7th Sub-Circuit. He is our friend, our brother. His name is Joe. I want to say Owens Joe Shelby. How are you, brother?
How are you?
I know the people know you as Joe.
That's correct.
And what's the logo? What's the slogan?
Let's go with Joe.
Go with Joe. Okay. So, first of all, thank you for being on the show. Happy to have you on.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, sir. And the 7th Sub-Circuit, what area is that in?
So it's the bulk of the west side of Chicago, nothing north of North Avenue, and then it goes all the way down into the West Loop area. But it also includes Forest Park, River Forest, North Berwyn, and a small part of Cicero.
Okay, and so if I understand correctly, you're from Austin, right? You're from the community.
Yeah, born and raised on the west side.
All right. So now I know that I've received my west side pass. They say the west side is the best side, but I know that you look for everything with that over there. Most of us, I was born on the west side and raised on the south side, so that's what happens from time to time. But tell me a little bit about yourself and your background.
I went to school, St. Angela Grammar School. After that, I went to Providence St. Mel for high school. After that, I decided to go to Morehouse College. Graduated Morehouse. Then I came back home, Chicago, Kent, and went to law school here. After graduating from Chicago, Kent, I decided to become a prosecutor. You know, I had an interest in law, and from an internship I did with the State's Attorney's Office, you know, I got a good feeling. You know, I wanted to be a voice for the voiceless. I wanted to represent our people in court. So I've been doing that now for the last. I've been an attorney 15 years. I've been a prosecutor 14 years now.
Okay, wow. So you're pretty experienced at that, huh?
Yeah, I've been doing it for a while now.
Okay. What inspired you to become a lawyer?
I think the first thing that inspired me was my mother. She lost her job when I was younger, and I remember she hired an attorney because it was unfairly. She hired an attorney, and I can remember growing up seeing she would be waiting to hear the attorney, like when he calls, and that news that you got it either piss her off for the next month or she'll be happy for the next 30 days, just waiting to see what's going to happen with her law case. So I remember just thinking from that experience, you know, this attorney must be powerful. He can have this type of influence on someone else's life. So I thought about it. I was like, oh, maybe I should, you know, try to be an attorney to help people, and more so maybe I should be an attorney. Maybe I can always keep a job. I won't get fired and lose my job. So,
you know, you mentioned working as a prosecutor in the State's Attorney's Office, and I know that that has to be a very demanding job and balance it, and it can get. I'm not gonna say your job gets political, but the coverage of what you all do in the office can be very political. Tell me what has your experience been like working in that office?
It's been a good experience. I've been getting a lot of actual courtroom experience. The way we move, we rotate through different divisions every year, 2 years, just somewhere else. You move around to different courtrooms. I worked in Rolling Meadows, Markham, Bridgeview, 26th Street. The majority of the branch courts. I think I've been everywhere in Cook County other than Skokie, which I'm happy about because that's a lot of gas. As high as gas, and I don't want to drive out there. But I enjoyed the experience. You get to meet a lot of different people. You know, like I say, crime doesn't discriminate. It happens to everyone. So I've enjoyed the experience to work with people all over Cook County.
And I know that why after 15 years did you decide to become a candidate for judge?
Well, truth be told, this is actually my third time running for judge. I knew the first time, I knew I had to get my feet wet in the political process. But I think now would be the time. I feel like I do have the experience. I've been I've been found qualified or recommended by every bar association. And for me, this has always been the next step. It didn't take me. I know some people kind of run later in life,
Right.
but for me, I always saw this as my path. I knew when I started and I had a few years under me, I wanted to be a judge. I mean, I think they have the most influence in the courtroom, whether it's in the people in front of them, but it's also the attorneys, the people that come before them. So that's kind of how I saw myself, and I think I'm ready to take that next step now.
Tell me, I know this. Well, this isn't your first candidacy. What did you learn from the first one? Maybe was there an aha moment? I mean, I know that we learn from every experience, but how is this campaign a little different for you?
So this campaign is different because just because my first time, I kind of just got out there trying to learn everybody. Second time, I did the same thing. I learned a little more. But along the way, I made certain connections. I talked to a lot of people. I met all of the. It gave me an opportunity to meet people. I think I was even on your show some years back. So I think just the experience now is different. And this time, although I didn't get any support the other times, this time I was actually able to get a lot of support, not only from my friends and family that have stood by me, but a lot of elected officials on the West Side have also said, they notice what I've been doing, and they're going to give me a chance, and they're supporting me this time.
Well, that's excellent. When you talk about that feedback, especially from prospective voters, the community, when you're campaigning or telling them about your interests, what feedback are you hearing from the community residents?
It's been great. People, they say all the time, we're proud of you, keep it up. I had some young guys tell me, hey, you're an inspiration, like keep going. And I think that kept me going in the long runs because, I had to lose in a few times. You get down.
Yeah.
But I couldn't go more than a week or two with someone. Be like, oh, hey, Joe, you a judge yet? I'd be like, nah, not yet. They're like, okay, well, don't worry, man. You're going to get them next time. You keep going, man. Yeah. So it kind of keeps me going, but it's been a real positive feedback.
I mean, it would be nice to have that kind of support and that kind of respect from the people in your community. And then with you being from Austin itself, it's like that. When you talk about an inspiration and, dealing with people, I know that, when you look at Austin, probably Garfield Park, the portrayal of it is high crime environment,
correct,
things like that. But you coming from there, you working in that environment, what do you think, if there are any misconceptions about it, or what can you tell me about growing up in Austin that most people wouldn't know?
Well, I think there are a lot of good things also. I know the news, it portrays a lot of, the bad things that go on, but there are a lot of good programs. There are a lot of good people. There are a lot of people that want to do good. So I think we just have to keep pushing and helping to change that narrative, and my candidacy has always been about like kind of being a symbol of hope kind of for that next generation. A lot of times, kids think of, if you're not playing basketball or being a rapper, what else can you do? So I think I'm hoping that at least my story, someone that didn't grow up with money, didn't grow up in a political family, but I had an idea, had a dream, and we worked at it. And now I'm here, and hopefully June 28th, everyone's going to go with Joe. And then hopefully after that, we can help inspire the next generation.
Yes, sir. And again, I want to remind you all in the viewing audience, this is a live call-in show. So you have a question or a comment, you can reach us at 773-434-6625. And, in running for office, because it's not like, campaigning, to be a candidate is different than the other elected officials because, you really just have your record and your character to run on. And so tell for our viewing audience who may not be familiar with it, what is it about you? Why are you worthy of their vote?
I'm sorry, what's that?
Why are you worthy of their vote? Why should they vote for you?
Well, I think one, I'm a devoted public servant. I dedicated my law career to public service. I'm an experienced litigator. Like I said, I've been found qualified by all of the qualified or recommended by all of the bar associations. And I'm an emerging leader in my community. I'm involved in a lot of boards and community organizations. I sit on a lot of boards for community organizations that directly impact the West Side. When I finished college, I remember a pastor once told me, the more education you receive, the more responsibility you have to give back. And that was something that always stuck with me. So that's why I made it a point to get involved with organizations that affect the community that helped me, that I grew up in. I sit on boards for the NAACP Chicago West Side chapter, College Mentoring Experience, which is a good program. They provide mentors to kids from grade 6 through college. You want to catch them early, and that mentor stays with them. I coach youth basketball, part of National Black Prosecutors Chicago chapter. and a few other St. Angela School Board as well as St. Joseph Service. So I've been trying to stay active as much as I can in the community.
Well, I will say this to our viewing audience. The West Side NAACP, I'm very close with Dr. Carl Brinson and Carl Ellis. We're there, so I know you all are doing good work over there and very engaged in a lot of aspects of the community. And so as you're running for this office, I mean, how do you, are you confident in taking off that prosecutor's hat and then just being a judge? I mean, what do you expect the biggest transition to be for you?
You know, it's still a mystery. I mean, I try not to think about it. You know, I got my fingers crossed, but I think this will be the time. So, you know, I just take it day by day and we're going to see what happens. But, you know, I'm going to just continue keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And let me ask, so in your 14 years of being a prosecutor, you've seen things evolve in the city. And right now, it seems that where the media portray things that, you know, the city, you know, it's just a lot of crime going on, especially with the young people. But as a prosecutor, you can only prosecute or use the evidence that's presented to you.
That's correct.
And so what do you think the biggest misconceptions that the public may have about your job as a prosecutor?
I think one public misconception is that, you know, we need witnesses, we need victims to come forward, and sometimes that is difficult. I can understand out of fear, out of people not wanting to be involved. So that's a big part of prosecution. You need someone, you need someone to testify. So I think that's a part that a lot of people don't really think about when they kind of make comments that prosecutors aren't doing this, prosecutors aren't doing that, because a lot of times, you know, at least from my personal experience, I make a lot of phone calls to witnesses and people, and I'm getting hung up on, I'm getting cussed out and told I can, you know, pretty much go to hell if I think someone's going to come in and testify. So that's kind of a hurdle that is very hard dealing with, and we only do the best we can with what we have.
Yeah. And on the flip side of that, I want you to talk about really the balance of it, because a lot of times in our community, we hear or talk about being the victims or on the wrong side of the law, you know, but as an advocate or prosecutor trying to get justice for those who are wrong is another piece. And so tell me, you know, that advocacy piece that a prosecutor does to bring about justice, how does that weigh on you? I mean, because you're really trying to give a voice sometime to the voices of those who have been wrong.
It does. I mean, it's, you know, every day is different. I will say it's one of the most, it's challenging, but also it's never a dull moment. I think at the end of the day, when you know, we do have our successes, it's good to hear from the family, because it's not just really for us, it's for that family, it's for those victims who call and a mother crying who's lost someone. So it's really for them. That's really the, you know, the feel-good part of the job, why you can feel good, and it helps you remember, you know, what you're doing and why you're doing what you're doing.
You know, as an attorney, I like to ask this question because, you know, there are all kinds of legal courtroom shows and things on television now. Has that made your job harder? I mean, everyone thinks they're an attorney now.
No, that's true. You do get a lot of help at work. You know, you do get a lot of outside help, and people telling you should do this or you could do that, or polygraph tests and all type of stuff.
Let me ask you. You know, as far as your temperament or your courtroom decorum, what would you bring to the bench that you feel would be one of your assets?
Well, I think one of my assets, I can get along with anyone. I've been a very calm temperament as a child. Don't really scream, don't really yell. A lot of people, I think one of my coworkers told me today, I've never heard you get mad, or I never heard you, I can imagine how it sounds when you yell at someone. So they ask me all the time, what would make you go off? And honestly, I don't know. I mean, me and my wife, you know, she'll make me go off sometimes, but or the kids. Right.
Well, we know how to do it. We're going to take a call real quick. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question or comment.
You make me go off sometimes.
Caller, are you there? Turn down your TV, please. Walaikum salam, sister.
Yes, sir. And greetings to your guest, Mr. Shelby.
Hello.
My question is, you haven't spoke about some of the cases that you have prosecuted. I know a lot of times we get these judges, and whether they're soft or hard on crime, we don't know until afterwards. And sometimes, very regretfully, we put these people in office. So I need to be assured of some of the cases that you've prosecuted, how you kind of voted on. If you could talk about at least one of the most impactful cases that you've done. Thank you.
Thank you, sister.
I've done a variety of cases. I prosecuted everything from a child support case to first degree murder. So I've done vehicular hijackings. I've prosecuted, went to trial on rape cases as well. So I didn't really speak on it, but technically I've done everything every day. So I'm in the courtroom kind of every single day. Our caseload is usually anywhere from 30 to 40 cases a day. I've done hundreds of trials. I've had bench and jury experience. So for me, it's not really one case that I can really speak of, but I've one case that kind of comes to mind. But most recently, I mean, I just did a rape case about 2 weeks ago out in Maywood. Like I said, I don't really want to get a detail of the family or anything involved, but I do have experience. My experience, like I said, has been in the criminal courtroom since day one with the state's attorney's office.
Yeah. Well said. Let's go to the caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Man, that brother looked like he's worth $1 million, boy, shining like a diamond up there. Yes, sir. Look, man, you asking all the right questions, man. It's hard to come up with some ideas of questions to ask you, brother, because you're hitting all the right spots, Brother Jamil.
Thank you, brother.
And what I do want to ask my brother there is, had he ever done the defense side, the public defender type of stuff? I mean, I heard him say the prosecutor side, but has he ever done the defense side? I'll hang up and listen because, since of me holding up the show, really good show, brother.
Thank you, brother. Yes, sir.
I stepped up once for a friend right before I was offered a job for a state's attorney. So right out of law school, I had about 9 months where I did some defense work for a friend before I became a state's attorney.
Okay. Well, how was that?
Oh, it was fine. He was happy. He didn't pay me enough, but he was happy.
Yes, sir. Let me ask you, as a prosecutor, because I will say this, that we hear a lot about plea deals and things like that. So, in your work, is that and I know as a prosecutor you want justice, but sometimes you have to balance that out. So we hear a lot about plea deals being in the community, and some people really not being fully aware. And I know that part isn't on you; that's on their attorney. But talk about some of the things that would help or lead you to kind of offer a plea deal or try to make a deal.
Well, it all depends on the case, and it also depends on the victims in the case. So it's not a lot of deals, or it's not really just the prosecutor. A lot of times, there's victims and there's family members that weigh in. 'Cause a lot of times you have family members, even victims. They don't want to come forward.
Right.
They're saying they're not coming in. They're scared to go in, or whatever the reason may be. So we have to weigh into that because, we're not in the business of trying to force everyone to come to court. I mean, we wish we could, but that's just reality. You're not going to be able to get everyone in court, and that would not look good for us to be, forcing people or force people into court. So that kind of weighs in on the decision as to what type of case we do have. Now, right now I do deal with more of the violent cases, but when there are cases that are not so violent, minor drug cases and things of that nature, we give a plea deal where we might offer a reduced sentence because, I know the impact of having a felony on your background.
Right.
I know how I can screw you up. I have family that's gotten into trouble. So I know that impact. So if we do have an opportunity to reduce charges or give someone a reduced sentence so that they won't have to deal with a felony, give them a second chance, we're all for that as well.
And I can imagine just talking to you, I know that you're someone who's patient and explaining things. And sometimes, especially being a black man on the prosecution side, when you're explaining the law to people, because many people in our community have a lot of apathy or don't trust the system, this or that, how big of a part is education and awareness of the law, to some of the things that you see? I'm sure you see people who may not be fully aware of things. And I ask that because as a judge, sometimes, you have to assess those kinds of things. But tell me, in your experience, how big of a part is education and awareness of the legal system and the laws and how and what they are a part? How does that impact our community?
I think it's it's very huge. I can actually, growing up And I'm even embarrassed to say I don't think I knew what a prosecutor was probably until I got to law school. I really understood what a prosecutor did or does on a daily basis. You know, I experienced as a black man all the time, you know, people come at me and say, oh, why you a prosecutor? Why are you doing this to our people? And this and that. But after having a conversation, even a brief conversation, just explaining them what a prosecutor does, what power a prosecutor has, that, you know, we're not against anyone, you know, I'm not against anyone. I'm more so trying to help people, like, because a lot of people forget there's someone on the other side in most cases where there's victims, like it's not just a prosecutor. So, you know, you have to be fair. You have to be fair to the defendant, and also, you know, you want to be fair and considerate to your victims as well, so that we can reach a common agreement where everyone is happy.
And I ask you that, and I'm glad you answered that way, because so many of our people don't know. They don't realize that you're also receiving calls from people in the community that are saying, what's the status and this and that. So now let's go to the phone lines. Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question.
Thanks for taking my call. That's a beautiful answer, brother.
Listen.
But what popped in my head is, who are some of the judges that you admire in the Cook County system? Because we go back, our relationship with judges, all the way back to Judge Pincham and Earl Strayhorn. Who are some of these judges that you admire, Black brother? And I really want to hear this answer. So may God bless you and much success to you. Okay.
Thank you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I mean, like you said, I have heard a lot about Judge Pincham, but that was kind of before my time. You know, to be honest, it's a lot of judges I look up to, but it's, you know, I'm nervous because if I do give an answer, if I leave off somebody, it might be some trouble when I go to work. So,
Brother Emmanuel, you might have to come up to the studio and get that answer in person, brother. You know, to say that, but that's the important thing when you talk about relationships, the judges and things. And so, and I actually, you told me about your temperament, but being in a courtroom, how do you, or what method do you think you would use, or how important is it to have that person, I don't want to say relaxed, but people come to court, they're agitated, they're upset, nervous, there's a certain bit of uncertainty. How do you influence your decorum in the courtroom just to relax things, to get to the facts?
Well, I think, you know, if I become a judge, just my demeanor, because the judge, he's the leader of that room. He leads by example. So I think just remaining patient with people and keeping that in the back of my mind, that sometimes, you know, people are going to be nervous. People are going to say the wrong thing, or just different things, just this, if this their first experience. Because, you know, if your freedom is possibly on the line, you know, you don't know how you're going to react to being in a situation when you know that your freedom's on the line. So I think just keeping in the back of my head that, you know, it's okay if they're nervous, or it's okay if they, you know, as long as they're not, you know, disrespect for anything like that, but just having patience and kind of.
All right. And as a follow to our brother's question, I want to ask you your favorite judge, but I will ask you about a moment in your career or an experience you had when you may have been nervous, and it was something that the judge did that either put you at ease or impacted you as a prosecutor that you still remember. That was a good thing.
I think there was a time when I was a newer ASA, and I think I guess when you first get to the courtroom, you know, they kind of just throw you in there. Now, you're not dealing with the felony cases, more the low-end cases. But I had a moment where, you know, when I was first just kind of throwing some cases and say, here, you know, do what you do. And, you know, I was nervous. I was a little timid in court, and the judge didn't take it easy on me. The judge, if, you know, they wanted answers and they want them there. But I think afterwards, the judge kind of told me, you know, don't worry about it. You know, we all are there before this. You know, your first time stepping up. It's your first time doing this. You know, keep at it. You know, I gave you a hard time because I'm supposed to, but you did a good job, and just, you know, keep doing what you're doing, and don't worry, it'll all make sense to you soon.
Well, sir. Well said. Let me ask you, and I know that you mentioned that, you know, that you are married, and I know when it's a candidate, you know, that pressure, the whole family's running. Right. So, you know, in this line of work, how do you leave that? I know as a judge you have to be objective. There are certain things that separate things from that, but how has your, you know, talk about your support system and how that helps you, how do you think that'll help you moving to the next level?
Well, this is my third time running, and my wife hasn't divorced me yet, so
She wants to see you get to the finish line.
yeah, we're happy about that. My wife, she's actually a law professor too, so she practiced for a while. Our son is at Howard; he's going to be a junior at Howard University, and our daughter, she's in daycare. So luckily, it's kind of a distraction, you know, with the kids, kind of all my mess I got going on.
Yes, sir. You know, and brother, I'm glad that you're on because we, you know, we have a lot of candidates, but notably missing, we don't have a lot of black male candidates. And quite frankly, brothers and sisters, there's not a lot of black males that we see and highlighted in anything right now, to be honest. But that's another show, another subject. But for you, that responsibility, because you're seeing, you know, our people out here, you're from the West Side, and you mentioned before you get encouragement, but talk specifically about some of the youth. And I know based on your volunteerism and that you give back, but talk about the message that you share with some of our youth, you know, to, I'm not going to say to follow your example, but when you share your experience, how does that affect them?
I think the main thing I kind of share with them is that, you know, I can relate. I've been here. I grew up, you know, in a neighborhood, you know, kind of a crime area. I grew up in that. And you got choices, you know, it always may seem fun, maybe to do the nonsense and do that. But, you know, I just kind of let them know you do have choices, and that if you can stay on this path, no matter how hard it might be, there's a reward at the end of the line. There's something that you can be proud of. You can be happy. Like, you don't have to go this way when you can go the right way, you know. So that's just kind of the main thing that I let them know, that I'm just like them. You know, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I didn't grow up knowing I wanted to be a lawyer. I don't think I knew what a lawyer was, to be honest, until I got older. So.
And do you remember what, I know you said your mother's situation, but were you always uber focused on that once you locked in? I mean, because I know that it takes a lot of study, a lot of commitment and things like that. Was there a part in that journey that you're like, oh, I want to do something else?
Well, see, my path is different. I was actually a finance major at Morehouse College. You know, when I went to college, you know, I guess picking a major, I said I wanted to make money. So I was like, I'll be a finance major. Maybe I'll make some money that way. Yeah. But during the path, I had a good friend. He was encouraged to go to law school by his parents, and it kind of, he was my roommate. It rubbed off on me. And then one of the biggest things, which, you know, I'm very happy about, actually I got a scholarship to go to law school, and it was kind of, you know, I believe I was kind of led on this path. I'm a religious person. I believe I was kind of led on this path. I was a part of Better Boys Foundation on the West Side. I happened to call their office one day, and I had applied to law school, but the tuition was so crazy, I didn't really think I was going to go. But I randomly called Better Boys Foundation. I spoke to the receptionist, and she remembered me, and she said, hey, were you thinking about going to law school? I was like, yeah. She was like, there's this scholarship that the Indigo Foundation has for people that are accepted to Chicago King College of Law. I said, oh, really? She's like, yeah, I'll send it to you. It's a week deadline, but you should apply. So she sent me the application, I applied, and I want to say a couple of weeks later, I got a full scholarship to go to Chicago King College of Law. So it was like, by God's grace, that I don't know why I called that day, but everything happened. Everything happens for a reason.
I think one of the key things is things happen for a reason, but equally as important that you took advantage of the opportunity. And I think that is what we have to instill in people, to be prepared when those opportunities come, to take advantage of it.
That's right.
And, you know, as I listen to you, you know, I'll tell you what, let's take a break. I want to come back on the other side and then pick up with a different train of thought, okay?
Okay.
All right, we'll do that. Brothers and sisters, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with more interesting conversation. We'll be right back.
I love you, Emma.
Searching for a restaurant that serves delicious home-cooked meals at an affordable price like your grandmother used to make? Well, the search is over. Stop by MacArthur's, the new talk of Chicago. We offer a warm atmosphere with friendly service and excellent meals ranging from carry-out, dine-in, or catering for your special events. MacArthur's is open 7 days per week from 11 a.m. until 9 p.m. Come visit us at
5412
West Madison Street or call us at 773-261-2316.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back. And brother, I wanted to just pick up as we wind down on this segment. I know you qualified. I know you're for the community. You're from the community. And you'll be forever part of the community. I know that's your slogan, but I know your volunteerism, your advocacy, all of that rings true. But I want to give you a moment or two just to tell our viewing audience why they should vote for you and why they should remember you on June 28th.
Well, again, I think it's as I said, I'm a devoted public servant. I'm a experienced litigator, and I am a young emerging leader in the community. And I think now it is my time to become a judge. So I am asking for your support. As you said, I'm from the community, for the community, and forever be a part of the community. So I'm asking you to go with Joe on June 28th.
And you didn't get your punch number.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. And got to go with Joe and punch 192.
and for that, and I know that people will look at this show multiple times, but if you have a website or something where they can go to, or you're on social media?
Yeah, it's www.shelbyforjudge.com. That's SHELBYFORJUDGE.com. So that's my website. I am on Facebook. It's Shelby for Judge. You can find my page. You can please email me or reach out to me if you have any questions or anything like that, or if you want to help volunteer, please feel free to reach out.
It's before we take the break, I want to get on that volunteer thing, because I know you got to be a lot of places out there in the street. So what does volunteerism look like? Tell the people what you need, brother.
Well, if you're willing to take a yard sale, if you're willing to take some palm cards and just pass it out to your neighbor, or even just word of mouth. I know times are different with COVID, or even if you can text 10 or 15 people for me and tell them to text 10 or 15 people for me. So we trying to get creative and innovative in the way we do things, but I'll take whatever help I can get.
And, before we wind down again, the 7th Sub-Circuit, that encompasses, what, Forest Park?
Yes, Forest Park. It's Forest Park, River Forest. It's only North Berwyn, and it's just a small part of Cicero, and it's the bulk of the west side of Chicago, going all the way down to the West Loop area.
And so, when I think about that, that's a nice, nice vast area there.
Yeah.
Man, you might have to recuse yourself a few times. You're going to know some people coming through there. If you grow up, man. I'm just joking with you, man. But, I'm happy that you're a candidate, brother. I'm glad that you had the opportunity to come on with us and talk more about your candidacy. I wish you success and continued success. I'll say that because I know that in your role of what you're doing now, it's an accomplishment. And I know outside what you do in the community, a lot of people may not fully understand that, except those who you directly impact. But I commend you as a black man doing that, because that is helpful. And, I want to see you, on that seat, brother, because, and I'll say, brothers and sisters, I want to encourage you to make sure that you go out and vote, because so many times, here they'll start at the top and the judges are at the bottom and they don't finish it out. But they will likely see a judge before they'll see anybody else that they're voting for.
Right.
And so it's important, brother. So again, thank you so much for coming in with us today, and I wish you success, okay?
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, brothers, okay. So, brothers and sisters, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with another interesting guest. We'll be right back.
I've always been a fighter. I came into this world at a mighty 2 pounds 9 ounces, but I kept fighting every day to stay alive. The fight in me continued throughout my childhood and beyond. I always wanted to make a positive difference in the world and to help people who otherwise did not have a voice. Now I'm running for judge. We need judges who understand what it means to be disadvantaged and need a fair shake at justice. I'm ready to serve the citizens of Cook County. Vote for Deidre Bauman for Cook County Circuit Court Judge, the voice for equal justice.
This is Sister Sajda Muhammad. We are proud to announce that the Sajda House commemorative Elijah coins are finally here. As we renovate and restore the former home of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we have recycled the old copper gutters and downspouts and created a 1 ounce 39 millimeter coin made of 100% pure copper. Each coin is professionally graded and has its own barcode and registration number. This priceless heirloom, made from recycled copper from the messenger's home, is now available at sajdahouse.com.
Show is brought to you by East Lake Management, innovative solutions for building communities of the future today.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. We are back, and I am super excited to be joined in this segment by a friend and brother. He is the Alderman of the 17th Ward and current candidate for the Illinois Secretary of State, our friend and brother, Alderman David Moore. How are you?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Everything
too.
well?
Everything is well, brother. I'm glad you were able to make it here.
Oh, man, I'm happy to be here. I obeyed the law, though, but
Yes,
coming, just traveling the state, getting support throughout this entire state for this race, and I'm excited about it. We're going to win this race come June 28th.
Oh, man, and I'm glad to hear you say that. I love your enthusiasm, and I'm glad that you come on, here with us to talk to the community, because I realize that some other people may get more attention and support, but
Absolutely.
Your message has always been direct, and you've been traveling here, and so talk to the people about, again, if they've been under a rock or don't know, tell them what you're running for and why.
Absolutely. So Secretary of State Jesse White is not running again. He's retiring, but he don't like to use the word retirement. He just say he's not running again. But what's ironic is that as we travel the state, there are more people don't even know he's not running again. And so a lot of people, are undecided in this race, and so I'm running for Secretary of State. And like I tell everybody, it's a calling. It's a continuation of my calling for running for alderman. But what attracts me to the Secretary of State seat, it is a nonpartisan seat.
Yeah.
It's a seat where I just get to serve people regardless
Right.
of party, regardless of race, regardless of gender. You just get to serve people, and that's what I'm excited about.
Okay. Well, you already have a caller, so we're going to go to the line.
Okay.
Caller, you're on the air. Go ahead with your question or comment.
Thank you, brother, for allowing me to call in tonight.
Yes, sir. brother.
Alderman David Moore. My name is T.C. McCoy, and I followed you on Munir Muhammad's show when you were running for alderman. And what I believe that you are the most qualified is because of your dogmatic attitude. You don't give up, and that's what we need as a Secretary of State. Everybody else has different problems. The young lady that's downtown in the office down there at the city clerk's office, and the gentleman is running that had the trouble with the bank, but you've never had no trouble, and I see you as the best candidate for us to get behind to elect as the Secretary of State, because we need somebody with your attitude and your dogmatic way of not giving up, and that's a good role model for people to want to follow somebody that's just not running for office. And I believe you would do a great job. And I just want to say I endorse David Moore for Secretary of State.
Man, you almost make me want to cry. And the reason being is because the fact that you're seeing a lot of young people are looking at this too. We always keep saying if somebody just came from us.
Yeah.
And it's not just black people, but somebody that came from people that cared and really cared about people. And we got to break systems. And that's what he's saying here. This race is about, oh man, from my closest friends, people that know that I can do the work and that I'm qualified, man, you can't raise the money. You mean that's our litmus test for finding the right person? The money? Or this person is not behind you? Well, these people are not behind me and not endorsing me because I won't sell out and because I stand up for the least of us. And my most important endorsement are the people. And and I've seen this movie before. Right. You've been with me from the start. Yes, sir. Your dad was with me from the start. It was, you can't win, you don't have these endorsements, you don't have money, and we won. And that's why I'm able to be steadfast like I am, because it's about the people. And that's why this seat has to remain a servant seat. Somebody in Illinois, there's got to be one seat at this state of Illinois where people are looking after the people. Where that person is in that seat looking after the people and not looking at, am I going to be the next senator or am I going to be the next governor? I am the only one in this race that said, this is my last stop. I am not seeking no other seat. I'm just seeking to serve people. And that's what I'm going to continue to do. So I really appreciate that call.
Well, I appreciate it too. Thank you, TC, for calling in. And I'll say this, and I know these are my words and not yours. It is disappointing to me for someone here, the only black candidate, for Illinois Secretary of State, seeing the plight that we're in, seeing, and not even the elections, but appointments. So many things have been going, reflecting the gains of other communities.
Absolutely.
To be a part of the Black Caucus, to have peers, I would like to see more voice or advocacy, or at least conversation about you from your peers, colleagues, and things like that. I feel that you deserve that because even in your tenure as alderman, you've been objective, you've been fair, but most importantly, you've communicated your reasons why you vote for or against something. So I appreciate your integrity. And to me, for every other race, you know, I hear conversations about someone who has ties to the black community or look like us or resonates. And I know that, you know, you went to Illinois State. I know you have relationships all over, and it's just like us. We can love and be advocate for our people, but still have respect and friendships in all walks of life. But it's been noticeably quiet when it comes to black elected officials when they talk about your candidacy.
Absolutely.
And I'm not going to necessarily ask you why. You can comment on it if you want, but that's something for our viewing audience to pay attention to. You know.
And here's the reason, because people are not used to people just getting out there. Is it my turn yet? Or have you been chosen by this person? It's quiet because I wasn't chosen. I was chosen by God. So I don't listen to man. And it's almost like, how dare you, even from our own people, how dare you get out there and run when it's not your turn yet, when you were not picked by the establishment? How dare you? And so some of them are like, and there's even some of them are like, I'm proud of you, David, but are scared to come out and say something because they're not used to this strength. And that's what I'm about. If we don't have that strength, then we can't help black people. And I say that both publicly and privately. When black people win, everybody win. But you know who knows that more than anybody else? White people.
Yeah. Let me take a call.
Y'all let me.
Caller, go ahead with your question or comment.
Hey, it's great to see my brother. I want him to know that the gas station, our new gas station, is a great addition to the community. Things seem to be going along great. And I want to know how you have been received, brother, throughout the length and breadth of this great state of Illinois, the land of Lincoln. How the people treating you up and down the state? I'm hanging up a list.
It doesn't surprise me, but it'll surprise many. So when I ran, people was like, well, he's only going to be able to get signatures out of the 17th Ward. Then it went to he's only going to be able to get signatures out of Chicago. Then it went to he's only going to be able to get signatures out of Cook County. Not only did Kane County do a petition drive for me, DeKalb County, Peoria County, Decatur, Danville, Fairview in St. Clair County, Fairview, the mayor, Alderman out of Fairview Heights, Illinois. We got signatures from all across this state. That's why when I announced from Western Illinois University where I went to school, because I knew people would come out. I have relationships all across this state. And there are people in those communities, even Quincy, Illinois, every time I go talk, they are passing signs for us. They are putting literature out there for us. So I just left and just got off the road from both St. Clair and Springfield, where people get us literature down here. Come speak. And every time we speak, they know the truth. They see the truth and they hear the truth. And it's something that you said at the outset. Ethics and integrity and character matters. I'm the only one in this race who does not have an ethical issue, because I've not only lived my life that way, I've run my office that way. I call the Inspector General more than anybody does, outside of probably Nick Sposato, because I want to make sure I'm always doing the right things by the people.
It's better to call beforehand than have them reaching out to you.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Have a caller. Caller, you're on the air. Go with your question or comment.
Right there by the. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Good to see my alderman on, and I want to congratulate him on his efforts in the 17th Ward. We're doing good. Like Emmanuel said, the gas station is up and running. I want to talk a little bit about the local situation here in the city as it relates to what went on with the map last week, and if he can speak on that. And that's all my question. Thank you.
Thank you, bro.
Absolutely. So we're excited that the map finally got approved. We really thought it was going to go to a referendum, whereas it was going to have to go to a vote, which was going to cost a lot of money to the taxpayers. But the people who were part of the other coalition broke away from their leadership, who was really holding this up. And so it was a situation where people came together, because most people saying trying to pit the Black caucus against the Latino caucus. That was never a real fight. That was a perceived fight, because the Black caucus never had a map. We went in there with other aldermen of other races, and what we did was say, hey, this is what we think our ward should look like. And then we had to fight, give up some, give a little. Nobody got what they wanted, but what people got was a fair map. And so people from the other side finally came over. We got the 41, and we got what we call the United Map, which is one of the best maps that I've seen since I've been involved in politics. Because usually in the past, the aldermen didn't have a say-so, if they want to be honest. See, the thing about it, it's good when you was involved, when they let you in the room, because they didn't think you were going to go anywhere. So they would let you in the room, and I would see this, and whether it was the administration, they would draw the map and say, either take this or take that. You didn't get to sign. You didn't get to talk to your people and your residents and do what's best for your community. You had to take what was given to you. This is the first time the aldermen were able to get together and draw a real map, try to get as many wards as square as possible, so that it could have some continuation and so that we could still have representation in the community. So I'm excited about this map.
It's exciting. I think that, you know, especially since things are more live stream now, we could see there was some, you know, still some sensitivity there, because things were fresh, but that's part of the process in itself. For those people who, you know, Jesse White has been in office a long time. For those people who may not be fully aware of all the responsibilities of the Secretary of State's office, I want you to make sure that you share that so they'll know how important this election is.
Absolutely. The second largest office in the state of Illinois outside of the governor's office, and even more so importantly, an office that's going to touch everybody. There's offices that the governor's office doesn't touch, or people that the governor's office doesn't touch, that the Secretary of State does. The Secretary of State touches every child to every adult. That's where you learn your bike safety at as a child. That's where you get your driver's license at as an adult. That's where if you got a business licenses, you starting a business to get those incorporated. The Secretary of State's office, if you're going to be a lobbyist and try to lobby businesses and get, you know, services for as your self-serving business as a lobbyist, That's who you have to go through, the Secretary of State's office. A lot of people don't know. Heck, I didn't know. And all my other the candidates didn't know. The Secretary of State is the state librarian. A lot of people didn't know that. Right. There's a lot of resources for grant money that we can get to come to the library. There's when we talk about what happened in Washington for the insurrection, the Capitol building. Who protects the Capitol building and the Capitol complex in Illinois? The Secretary of State. Who's maintaining the Capitol complex in Illinois? The Secretary of State. And then there's another piece that is so important and near and dear to me, victim assistance. People don't know you go through the Attorney General's office for victim assistance, but guess who hears your case? That's done through the Administrative Hearings Office at the Secretary of State's office to determine who get those funds and everything. And so 20 different departments, not just driver services, 20 different departments, 4,000 jobs that I want to unpoliticize and make sure that the people are getting it. Not that you have to go do petitions, not that you have to go work a campaign, but because you apply and you qualify, I want to make sure everybody has an opportunity to get in those jobs and those contracts.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. You've been campaigning now for a year.
A little over a year.
A little over a year.
We're a few days over May from the day I announced it back in May.
And I know, this is unlike any experience that you've had before.
Goodness.
Could you share with our viewing audience some of the things that you've learned and experiences you've had over this journey?
Yeah, what you'll find out, and I say this, the very people that you think are helping us are hurting us, number one. Number two, what you find out is that the people that you think wouldn't be with you are the people that are with you. And the people you expect to be with you aren't with you. You'll find out that in terms of this office, who was really controlling and handing out jobs, who's doling out contracts. And it's important that a person is in that seat that has full control of that seat. Secretary White has been a great, what I call, statesman, but I want to be a hands-on Secretary of State. I want to make sure that people have access to all 20 departments, not just driver services. I want to make sure that people are getting contracts for it, but even more so important, how people across this state are listening and looking and saying, hey, we definitely need someone who has a servant's heart, that this seat has to remain a servant seat. And we're getting this help now from all backgrounds, from all different races. We even having crossover appeal with people within the Republican Party because they're saying, hey, that's someone who has a servant's heart. I'm excited. I can't wait till June 28th. The people are going to shock the world because the people are getting out and they're voting, especially our young people. They're going to surprise people. They're coming out because I was the first one in this race to say I'm going to create 122 youth engagement offices, giving our young people full-time internships all year round so that they can be civically engaged. We got to get out the way and we got to help elevate these young people. I'm excited.
Hey, man, well, if you're excited, and I know that, you said it was God's calling, but you need man's vote.
Absolutely.
And so why don't you take a few moments and tell the people where they can find out more about your campaign, maybe a punch number, and what you want from them on June 28th.
Absolutely. Our punch number is 15. Punch number 15. That's the dream. Punch 15. And so our website is More for Illinois, www.MOOREFOR Illinois, and vote David Moore for Secretary of State. As we know, they put somebody else on the ballot with my same last name, different first name, to try to take votes away. So you got to remember David Moore, man after God's own heart, beloved. And so David Moore for Secretary of State. If you want to get involved, if you want a yard sign, if you want to volunteer, call 773-846-0289. They're throwing everything at us, including the kitchen sink, but we're going to prevail just like I prevailed when we ran for alderman. And so it's the people's seat, not my seat.
Hey, man, and I know you're running for this, but I know I'm going to give you at least a few seconds to say something to the people of the 17th Ward.
Absolutely. You know what? I appreciate my callers. I'm so excited. I got a phone call from a young lady by the name of Cameron Hicks and a group of ladies who going around the communities to clean up. They were mad at me because they said, you ain't got nothing to clean up. And so we are proud that the 17th Ward is not only staying clean, but you hear me say a clean community is a safe community, is a working community. While crime is going up a lot of places, it's going down in the 17th Ward, especially shootings. Not saying we don't have any, but they're down. And now we're bringing economic development in across every area, Inglewood, Auburn, Gresham, and Chicago Lawn, and I'm excited about it.
Well said, brother. Well, thank you for joining us, okay?
No, thank you so much.
Right,
I
brother.
appreciate it.
Brothers and sisters, I hope you enjoyed this evening's broadcast. And I want to encourage you again, June 28th, to make sure that you exercise your right to vote and find out more about our first guest. His name is Joe Shelby, brothers and sisters. Make sure that you look up that for the 7th sub-circuit for the Cook County Courts. And of course, our very own Alderman David Moore is running for Illinois Secretary of State. And while you're doing all that, those inquiries, make sure that you visit us at Crow, www.crow.org, to find out more about what we do, because we also need your support.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for viewing. On behalf of the Crow Television production team, I'm your host, Jamil Muhammad, leaving you with the greetings of peace and paradise. Assalamu alaikum.